Welcome to this week's Brittany's Bites. We are leaning into those summer flavors once again. I just can't help it. So many great things are available right now, and that includes sweet corn. Yes, I don't have it here to display because I've done a lot of prep work. What we are doing is making a soup in the summer. Yes, it can be done. We're gonna make summer sweet corn chowder, and I'm so looking forward to it. So I mentioned that I don't have the corn here to show you anymore because of all this prep work. By the way, that's gonna be the thing that takes you the longest in putting this soup together. Once you have everything completed and chopped up, which takes forever, this goes fairly quickly. So you may remember the little trick that I did a couple of weeks ago to get the corn off the cob. I don't know if you can see it here in the bundt pan, but I have, I believe, yes, 4 ears of corn. You don't cook it yet in this, you just do it fresh because we're gonna be cooking it in here. So you just put the cobs after you peel it here and then slice, 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 and it all goes nicely into here. So we're gonna talk about the other ingredients that are going to go into this soup in a little bit, but here in my pot, I have some olive oil heating up, medium-high heat, and I'm gonna saute this corn just a little bit. That's where we're gonna start cooking it once it's already off the cob. So yes, you can hear it is ready to go. Of course, all my fresh corn is sticking into my bundt pan. Get out as much as I can. I don't like to waste any. All right, I'll say that's good. Make sure that I stir this up. Might turn it down just a bit. And you can cook this as much as you like or as little. You can even sear it and get it a little brown on each side if you'd like, but I'm gonna keep it about medium-high heat and just give it some little zhuzhes here and there and get that cooking for a little bit. So we'll talk about some of the other ingredients we're gonna put in while that's getting started. What I have here is a large red bell pepper, and I probably should have used a smaller red onion, but it's what I had. I may or may not put all of this in, but I do love onion. A jalapeno, which you don't have to use, but it really, in this case, because there are no seeds, is gonna add more flavor than heat. So use it if you'd like. And then I have 4, I believe, Yukon Gold potatoes. Those are my favorite, love them. You probably get away with 3, depending on the size. I just sort of grabbed a couple and chopped them up and kind of ended up with a little bit more than I wanted. Then we have some spices we're gonna talk about later, but I'm gonna give this just a couple of more minutes, sauteing up this corn, and then we're gonna add in the veggies and cook them down a little bit. So we'll be right back. The corn is smelling fabulous. It's cooked about as much as I would like it to cook. So I'm gonna add in the veggies now. Here comes the red onion. I'm gonna just sprinkle in about that much, I think. I do like onion, so I'm gonna put a lot in. I'm gonna save the rest of that for something else, maybe for taco night. Stir that in. And then get the red bell pepper and use all that. Stir that in. Look at these awesome colors. It looks so great. And then, speaking of colors, we're gonna add in some green with this jalapeno. Again, you don't have to add it, but I really don't think it's gonna add that much heat. It's just gonna add another little layer of flavor in there. Okay, I'm gonna stir this up, kind of get all these onions separated, and we're gonna cook this for just a couple of minutes. I'm just giving it a second before I add in that garlic. And then we're gonna add in some spices as well. Actually, I think I'll add in the spices now. So speaking of spices, we've got some cumin and some paprika, and I'm gonna do, of course, salt and pepper as well. So I think I'm gonna do a little bit more cumin than paprika because I love it. So kind of a heaping teaspoonful, or it's gonna be actually a half teaspoon because this is a 1/4 teaspoon. So a heaping half teaspoonful of cumin. Then I'm gonna add in a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. Make sure I got the right thing. Yep. And then some salt and pepper. I like a lot of pepper, so I'm really gonna put a lot in here. And then I'm gonna put some salt in now because we wanna season in layers, and then give it a little taste at the end and see if I wanna add more. Great smelling, again, fantastic. I'm gonna give this just another minute or 2 and add in the garlic, and then give it another minute or so after that before we move on to our next step. The onion is starting to get a little translucent, so I think we're at about the spot we want to be. I did already add in the garlic and give it a stir, so here's where we can make it a little creamy. You could probably leave this out. You could use a couple of different things as well. I'm going to use half of a block of cream cheese, so that's 4 ounces, but you could probably also use Greek yogurt or sour cream if you'd like as well. I've certainly done that in lots of soups like this, but this is what I'm using today. So the cream cheese is in. I'm getting it stirred up here so I can get it melted down a little bit. We want to combine it. I think I'm going to turn down the heat just a little bit. But I do want to get it melted down before we add our next thing. So I'm just going to stir it around and get it all creamy. Everything is all nice and creamy in here. So we're going to add the next couple of things. And that will be some veggie broth. You could also add chicken broth, whatever you have on hand. Oop. Put this in, and this is going to be 4 cups or 32 ounces. Put it all in there. It's just getting everywhere, isn't it? And then to that, we're going to add finally our almost last ingredient, those Yukon Gold potatoes. And I had them all chopped up into little bite-sized pieces. That's kind of what you'd want in a soup, right? So that you can scoop it up with a spoon. Whoa! All right, got them all in there. So what we're gonna do now, basically we're nearing the end of the soup, but we gotta get these potatoes cooked, right? So we're gonna crank this up to high. Once it boils, we're gonna then crank it back down and let it simmer for about 10 to 12 minutes. Basically, you're done when the potatoes are fork tender. So cranking it up to boil, and then we're gonna reduce it, and then we'll finish up our soup. The soup has been simmering for several minutes now, enough to get those potatoes nice and fork tender. So a couple more steps here. One, I want to add a little ingredient that, is always my go-to flavor bomb, which you do not have to add, but it's this Calabrian chili sauce, which I just love. And I just think it adds a little oomph to almost any soup. So I'm going to put a pretty large spoonful in there, teaspoonful. A little goes a long way. And again, you don't have to use it at all if you do not like spice, but I'm just gonna add that in, a little layer of flavor. Stir it in. And then you could totally leave your soup like this. If you can see, take a look at all the beautiful different little chunks and flavors in there, but I want to make it a little bit more creamy. So to do that, I'm not gonna add anything else. We already have our cream cheese in there. I'm going to use an immersion blender and blend up some of the ingredients already in there. I've got that right here. What you can also do if you have a blender and you don't have one of these, you can scoop some out, about half of it or maybe a third of it into a blender, blend it up, and then pour it right back in. So this is just kind of an easier step to do. So I'm gonna stick it down right in here. And you can do this as much as you like. I'm gonna do it for about maybe 30 or 40 more seconds. So just give me a moment. Okay. Okay, I think I've gotten that to where I want it. If you can tell, it's so much creamier now. Just one more. I'm gonna set this to the side here. Set that up there. And then we're almost done. I'm gonna take it off of the heat here just to do a couple of last steps. Scoop this off here. What I want to do now is add a little tang. So I have half of a lime here that I'm going to squeeze in. Nice and juicy. You can also serve it with a lime wedge as well. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier, I've seen a lot of corn chowders, especially because this is sort of like a Southwestern take on it with the peppers in there. You can add in cilantro. Not a huge cilantro fan, so I just have it here for garnish. Some other people who are eating this soup do like it, so you could mix it in right now and have it all throughout, or you can just use that as a garnish like I'm gonna do. So that is our soup. And you can give it a taste and add more salt and pepper if you'd like, but I'm gonna go ahead and scoop it right up. See if I can not get it everywhere. Oh yes, that looks beautiful. One more little scoop. Well, I did get it everywhere. Boop. There we go. Here is our soup. I wanted you to be able to see it. I'm gonna add in just again, a little sprig of that cilantro if you'd like. And there we have our, what is it, summer sweet corn chowder. Yes, so hopefully you'll give it a try. Yes, you can have soup in the summer. If you would like to see the full written out recipe, you can go online right now to WBIR.com.